7 categories, 37 nominees, and thousands of votes from you. Tonight, powered by Thirsty from Tilbach, it's the Rugby on 216 Awards results. Hello and welcome to another episode of Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty, and for the first time hosted by Thirsty as well. We're at their incredible plant in Tilbach. We're sitting in what is going to eventually become a restaurant, I'm told, with the most beautiful view of the mountains behind us. I think it makes up for not having cooks here. He's obviously off in London this weekend watching the Springbok-Argentina match at the culmination of the Rugby Championship, but we're here, at least, to do some Rugby on 216 award announcements.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be here than in London. I hope it's raining. I hope it's bucketing down. We obviously haven't seen anything yet. But what a facility. Absolutely astounded. I don't think I've been to Tilbach before. We spoke about it on the road from the airport. I actually lived in the Western Cape for 4 or 5 years, and I've never been here. It's absolutely amazing. I see there's a little dam outside as well, so I've got the fishing rod, the foldable, in the back. Maybe just a little pop down after this.
I thought you were going to say you've got the swimming trunks.
No. Don't go in the water, but I like to take what is in the water
out of
the water, yeah.
Well, it's been quite an exciting week watching the results of our Rugby on 216 awards fluctuate. Obviously, last show we named our nominees in all the different categories, and today we are going to go through the announcements, the results, the winners, and obviously I'm also going to talk about what Thirsty is giving to the winners. So there is something there for each of them.
Alex, and just a word on that. You know, they've been more than just a sponsor throughout the season. You know, we obviously are very well hydrated every week, and it doesn't matter where we go. But it's so great to have a sponsor who's more than just, you know, a sponsor, as a real relationship. And when we came up with the idea of these prizes and stuff, they were just straight in. And it's amazing and some great stuff that we're going to give away today.
Absolutely. We're going to start it off then. Are you ready, Spurts?
Just to be clear, I've seen zero. I haven't seen the results. I know what it was like on Thursday. You know, but 2 days have gone by where I haven't seen anything yet.
I will, when we get to the specific awards, I'll tell you ones where it's been fluctuating and it's gone backwards and forwards, and I'll give you some insight into the results. But the first one that we're going to do is Event of the Year. And this has been pretty much the same the entire time since the first couple hundred votes were into the couple thousand. It's been the same, a pretty emphatic victory. Our Event of the Year on Rugby on 216 is the King Price Derby Series.
To be expected. Game changer. I've shared my view. I said when we announced the nominees that I feel it's been the standout event of the year. And to be the standout event of the year in South African schoolboy rugby says a lot, because you've got great festivals like the Absa Villa Clava, who's proven over and over what a good festival that is. You've got the meticulously run Noordsite, the brainchild of Peter Rousseau, which is a yearly highlight. And then you've got the Easter festivals. You know, we've got so much. But the King Price Derby Series in their first year, Alex, I've been astounded. You know, I've been around schoolboy rugby for a while. The way South African schoolboy rugby was taken taken to a bigger audience, but it was also spreading the net wider and fixtures being televised. You know, we went
Like
to
in
the
series
Eastern Cape.
here as well.
Charlie Hoffmeyer versus
Yeah.
Robertson. You had Pearson, you know, playing on TV.
50 fixtures, major ones, all on TV.
No, it's been absolutely amazing, and I think it's going to be even bigger and better in 2026. You know, how do you stop a train like that? Because everybody's going to want to be a part of the King Price Derby series. You know, they'll be inundated with calls and emails and say, "Listen, can we get in? What do we do?" So well done to the Pro Vantage team, to King Price, to everybody, to SuperSport schools for broadcasting all these matches. You know, that's no mean feat. Sending out vans, sending out commentary, making sure everything, you know, goes according to plan. Absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Then our first Rugby on 2 and 6 award, event of the year, goes to the King Price Derby series. Next, then, we're going to do Coach of the Year. And this is one that has been won by 1.2%.
No.
So the nominees were Johan du Plessis, Garsfontein, Justin van Winkel, Weinberg, Sean Erasmus, Paul Boys, Zander Erasmus, Westville, and Clinton Lewis, Queen's College. And the winner of the Rugby on 2 and 6 Coach of the Year is Clinton Lewis, Queen's College.
Where's Cooksy? Cooks would be a very, very proud man. You know, Eastern Cape. You know, we all gave our thoughts last week. I said it'll be tough to beat Sean Erasmus after the season Boys Eyes had. It'll be tough to beat the Story as well after struggling in 2024. Boys Eye came back the number one side in South Africa. But we also then mentioned sport is about more than just results. It's about the story. And what an amazing story Queen's College has been in 2025. Has it been sort of a year of resurrection? In many cases, yes. And obviously credit has to go to a coach when you see a renaissance of sorts. And Queen's College is, remember, we spoke about that during the year. They have been a bit of a sleeping giant in the last sort of 5 or 10 years. They've got one of the proudest rugby histories in South Africa.
I love your favorite fact about you're building into, you want to talk about Queen's Grey.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned it before on Rugby on 2 and 6. I got a phone call earlier this year, and out of the blue, you know, guys were having a bit of a debate about who the school is that has beaten Grey College the most, purely on numbers.
The highest number of victories against Grey College.
Victories against Grey College. And in South Africa, that remains Queen's College with 19 victories. You know, I wasn't sure of that, in fact, you know, because as a proud old grey boy, I think they've never lost. so I wasn't sure of it. In fact, made a few calls and got to the right number. So congratulations to Clinton. You know, it's well deserved. It's been a hard graft for Queens in rugby over the last 5 or 10 years. They've definitely turned a corner, Alex, and I look forward to 2026.
Have you ever been to one of the Eastern Cape derbies, Queensdale or Selborne?
To my amazement and my very big disappointment, I haven't been to one of the big ones.
So maybe next year, Rugby on 2 and 6 needs to go down to the home of Cooks.
There is no doubt about it. We need to get to one of those Eastern Cape fixtures. The history, the tradition, it is different. It is different than schoolboy rugby in any other province in South Africa. And that's the most beautiful thing about our country and about our schoolboy rugby. It hits differently in different parts of South Africa. Yeah. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different vibe. And people forget, in the Eastern Cape, rugby is a way of living. It's almost like in the Free State, you know, it's a way of living. People eat, breathe, live rugby.
And that goes back to the King Price Derby series, that all those derbies have been on TV this year. We've been able to see them. They've been celebrated. So I definitely think we need to get to them next year. So that is your Coach of the Year, Clinton Lewis from Queen's College. Now, Thursday are being very generous. They are sending some prizes to our winners today. And the Coach of the Year is going to get an Urban Etzebeth autographed biography, which means obviously Urban has signed it, a Thirsty towel, a Thirsty cap, a pair of these fantastic Thirsty socks I'm wearing, and then a 6-pack of our Thirsty Sport, which are those black energy drinks. as well. So that's what Coach of the Year Clinton Lurst is getting. Next, we're going to do Team of the Year, and then in the next segment, we'll chat about some of the individual player awards. Team of the Year, they're going to get a Thirsty Hydration set, which is going to consist of a couple of these Thirsty water bottles. We've been using them throughout the year on the show. We've had them up and about. A couple of those carriers that have also been on set with us during the year, some of these Thirsty towels, and then a pallet of Thirsty products. So that's a full hydration set for the Team of the Year. But this is one that has changed pretty much every time I've checked the results.
Wet wipe. I'm nervous here because I know who, in the back of my mind, I feel should win it.
Yes.
But luckily for us, we've got nothing to do with these decisions this week.
Yes. So let me remind you of the nominees for our Team of the Year on Rugby on 2 and 6. Paul Boys, Garsfontein, Paarlgem, Westville, Wynberg. Those were our nominees. We're going to cut 4. The 2 it's been sort of vacillating between this entire week. Paarlgem, Paul Boys. I can tell you it's been decided by 0.4%, which works out to 10 votes out of thousands. 10 votes is all it came down to.
You're keeping South Africa on edge, yeah? Or you're keeping the two halves of Paul on edge, yeah?
The Rugby on 2 on 6 Team of the Year is Paarlgem.
The one half of Paul then very, very happy, and the other half of Paul very, very sad. I think, right off the bat, it has to be reminded, if somebody switches on to Rugby on 216 for the very first time, public votes decided this. And I think we spoke on Thursday afternoon, and you said, listen, it's literally changing between the two every hour. Westville at a stage came into the mix as well very nicely. They were
only a couple points behind as well. Wynberg also very strong, but I mean Westville was right behind the two Paarl schools.
So Paul Boys very unlucky in a sense, obviously, to lose out on Coach of the Year now and on Team of the Year. Paarlgem, it has to be said, had an amazing season, and they were 2 minutes away from winning that match against Paul Boys as well, which would have left them with only one draw during the year against Affies. So an amazing season for Western Cape Schoolboy Rugby, an amazing season for Paul Schoolboy Rugby, and one of the great seasons of Paarlgem and Paul Boys.
Yes.
In the end, Paarlgem pipping Paul Boys. I've often shared the story, Alex, where one of my favorite moments in schoolboy rugby was, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, leading up to inter-schools, or in fact just after the inter-schools, sharing a moment with Peter Rousseau and Sean Erasmus together. And that was so special to me, and that bond and the bond and rivalry runs really deep in Paul. Yeah. It is a fierce rivalry, but then when it comes to the national stage, Paul is a very united behind rugby. And Paarlgem pipping Paul Boys, Peter Rousseau, David Tron, Bertie van Litzenberg, everybody at Paarlgem, Jean Stemmet, Willie Roos, they do amazing work. Helmut Leerman, Manus Igu, the names, you can just keep mentioning them, the coaching staff, the support staff. But you got to feel, Boys Eye was definitely in with a shot, and the public has spoken. So
the public's Team of the Year, favorite team perhaps Paarlgem, but the team that will go down as number 1 for 2025, certainly Boys High.
Yeah, definitely. They were the number 1 school side, rightfully so, because of that victory. Lost only once on the road in Riversdale against a top-quality Oakdale side. So they definitely were the number 1 side, but our Team of the Year, decided by the public, Paarlgem, and they were by the barest of margins, the number 2 side. So happy with that.
So there we go. All right. Well, then, our Rugby on 216 Team of the Year is Paarlgem. After the break, we're going to talk about the players, the forward, the back, the breakout, and the thirsty machine of the year. So you have that to look forward to. We're doing our Rugby on 216 award results from the beautiful Thirsty plant in Tilbach. Our hydration crew is standing by to take care of us as we take a quick water break now. Brought to you by Thirsty. We'll be back in a bit.
great to see our hydration guru is doing something.
Je komt mee boksen. Kiwis? Anne? Maar waar is die Anne?
Hey, hey, hey! Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen. Oef, ah, para, para, para. Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen.
Wow, wow! Exemos, wow! Breng van mij die box. Okay, so.
The Courier Guy. The courier behind the box.
Can you deliver something for me?
Where to?
Hij wees van mij, hij wees van mij. Put this one in the Springs box.
Look at man. Hey, buena.
Sure. Sure. You sure? Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, man, you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Look at this thing. It's presidential. What if we get caught, man? Nobody gets caught in South Africa, man.
That's true.
Now lift. I'm sure.
Don't just be sure. Be sure. King Price in sure. Insurance you can be sure about. Visit kingprice.co.za.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. We had a quick water break. The hydration crew here at Thirsty in Tilbach took good care of us.
We got to take them all across South Africa.
They must come with us to
Yeah,
all.
that little wipe of the forehead was classy. You know?
It's tough work.
It is.
Revealing these results.
I mean, traveling to a beautiful place in South Africa is really tough. Somebody has to do it, unfortunately. People always see the end product. They don't see the 11 hours of traveling to get here.
Literally, your commute today, Sputz, was...
It's all worth it.
Now 12 hours, yeah.
It's all worth it, let's be honest.
When you see this view.
If you look at what's behind us here, it's absolutely, amazing.
And at least this week, we're not the ones making the decision.
I feel very safe for the first time. I might even show my face in public tonight in Tilbach, because for 2 weeks it was a hard graft, when we were making decisions,
We picked our XV of the year, which got a lot of interaction. 100,000 people saw it on Instagram, but a lot of heat as well. And then the nominees, there were still people saying...
Yeah, what about this? And rightfully so. I mean, and that's what I continue to say, rightfully so. That's the interest of schoolboy rugby in South Africa. And when three guys get together and give their opinion about something, there has to be differences. Because otherwise, what would sport be? And somebody we haven't even mentioned when it comes to like breakout player of the year, which we're going to announce in a little while, is the Stellenberg duo.
Yeah.
Ethan van Biljon, Jovan van Breda. I feel for guys like that because they deserve to be mentioned.
Yes, 100%. Well, we're going to talk about a couple players of the year now. And just to remind you what they will be getting from Thirsty, each of these individual player awards will be awarded an autographed book, so signed by Eben Etzebeth. It is his biography, so it's his book and it's signed, which I just think is really cool. I think I'd like one of those as well.
I would. I just love the way you explain it. It's autobiography by Eben Etzebeth, autographed, so signed.
Yeah, there's a lot of auto and graph and biograph, and it's just.
But it is amazing, and maybe just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Eben Etzebeth signed biography. There we go. Because I actually think it's not an autobiography. I don't think he wrote it. Or it's, someone else wrote it. We're getting very technical.
Biography.
Yeah, there we go. A thirsty towel, thirsty cap, a pair of these thirsty socks that I'm always wearing, the thirsty cap that you've won, obviously this year, the red cap for getting most of the
I
picks
think
right.
let's just give them one of the black caps. Just they can't get the red. I mean, come on, the red's very official.
And then a 6-pack of that thirsty sport for
Great
each
prize.
of these.
Great prize.
Right, let's get into it. And we're going to start with the Forward of the Year, which was the most hotly contested one of these awards. We were so unsure about it that we nominated 2 extra players. We nominated 7 for this category. The rest we nominated 5. So to remind you about the nominees, Arya Meyer, Grey College, Gert Kemp, Paul Roos, Jordan Jooste, Paul Boys, Joshua Neal, Rondebosch, Kai Pratt, Oakdale, Quinton Potgieter, Paul Gim, Wasi Viambuera, Maritzburg College. It was a very, very close race. The winner got 23% of the vote, which shows you then how fractured it was. In fact, 4 players were all 12 point something. 2 players were exactly the same. Out of thousands of votes, had the exact same number. It was tightly contested. But in the end, the Rugby on 2 and 6 Forward of the Year is Paul Boys' Jordan Jooste.
Was that the way I thought it was going to go? I'm not sure. But at last, Paul Boys get one of the awards. And it has to be said, it's a year where Neil de Bruin and Shaun Erasmus came together for the first time. They literally took the under-19 group of Boys Eye to new heights. But a guy that was really spearheading a lot of that effort was Jordan Jooste. They came by now the famous prop plan where they sort of rotated their prop forwards, Jordan being one of them, but he was absolutely phenomenal. His battles right throughout the year, although both as loose heads, so never one-on-one against each other with Kai Pratt, who was the best loose head in South Africa at schoolboy level, was amazingly interesting and captivating. But Jordan Jooste is a very, very special rugby talent. The amount of pace he has for a big fella, and that was at times where he did his most damage, was as a runner for Paul Boys. Remember that last 10 or 15 minutes at inter-schools as well, when he came back onto the field? He was devastating with ball in hand, Jordan Jooste. So a well-deserved prize, although I can imagine how tightly contested it was, because there's future superstars of our game in that group. Guys like Arya Meyer, who is a phenomenal talented lock. Josh Neal, who's going to go to Ireland and probably make a massive success out of a rugby career in Europe. Then you've got Gert Kemp, Quinton Potgieter, 2 of the better schoolboy 8th men that we've seen. And then Wasi Viambuera from Maritzburg College, who
came, by the way, second in the vote and led for some of the week. Maybe that vindicates a little bit of our decision to choose him in our ultimate 15 as well.
I think in retrospect, once emotions died down and you go look at some of the choices that was made 2 or 3 weeks ago, you would find that a lot of the public agrees with it. But that's not the point. We want that engagement. We want that difference of opinions, because that's what makes schoolboy rugby in South Africa schoolboy rugby. If I selected the Forward of the Year, it might have been somebody different. And just think about...
If Cooks did, if I did...
Then it'll show you at least 2,500 people would have been really angry because they were voting for Jordan Jooste. So you see, you've got... This is absolutely amazing, but well-deserved. Like I say, Boys Eye needed to come out on top in one of these categories. They're the number 1 side in South Africa. And it's Jordan Jooste that comes out on top as the Forward of the Year.
Rugby on 2 and 6's Forward of the Year is Jordan Jooste. He's getting that fantastic kit from Thirsty, including a signed biography by Eben Etzebeth, as will all the individual players who win awards today. Next up, we have Back of the Year. The nominees for this were Christian Foster from Oakdale, Ethan Adams, Grey College, Junaid Stewart, Garsfontein, Marcus Miller, Paul Gim, and Zekatelo Siaya, Westville. Ended up being between 2 players, Marcus Miller, Zekatelo Siaya. And the Rugby on 2 and 6 Back of the Year Marcus Miller from Paul Gym.
No massive surprise. Marcus Miller, what a season. What a couple of years at first side level. You sort of run out of superlatives to describe his contributions to Paul Gym, the viewer's choice for the team of the year as well. Yep. He scored 40% of their tries, something ridiculous like that. He had a further hand as a try assist in many, many more. At a stage late in the season, took over the goal kicking, kicked it, above 80%, kicked it 100%. In the inter-schools game. So he's just a prodigious talent. You talk about the depth and how all these awards are stacked, Alexander, but imagine in any other year, Zikatelo Siyaya wins back of the year. In any other year,
Ethan Adams
wins back of the year. In any other year, Christian Forster wins back of the year. Or Junaid Stewart from Garsfontein wins back of the year. So that's 5 superstars. 3 of them centres in Miller, Adams, Forster. And then you've got the outside backs and the explosive pace and the guile and the balance of a Siyaya and a Junaid Stewart. But Marcus Miller will go down as one of South Africa's finest schoolboy rugby players. Not of 2025, not of the 2000s, but ever. He's in that league. He's right up there. There's that massive debate about who was the best of the best, and Marcus Miller joins that fray alongside legendary names. That I'm not going to mention now because it's going to open a whole new can of worms. I think I've had enough worms
for now. But maybe later in the season, as we still have a couple episodes to go, maybe that's something we'll look at. The greatest schoolboy rugby players ever.
If we have a look at that, Miller enters the fray, and I know we've got a couple of plans up our sleeve for 2026, maybe to have a bit of a scratch under the surface of that. Miller joins the fray, as does maybe 1 or 2 others. That is not our winners this year. They can even enter that conversation.
The Rugby on 2 and 6 back of the year is Marcus Miller. And now it's time for us to do our breakout player of the year. I think just to remind everyone at home, the sort of criteria for this puts somebody in grade 11 who has made a big impact and we're excited to see next year.
Definitely, and the emphasis being grade 11, and it's South African schoolboy rugby, so he will be exciting. But as long as he's grade 11, that was the main criteria. A junior in the first team.
And the nominees were Aaron Nelson, Graham College, Hendrey van Sail, Paul Gym, Jacobus de Villiers, Oakdale, Lamlam Gedesi, Grade College, Dian Basson, Paul Roos. What I must say about this entire voting process that was very interesting. Not a single person won a category, or not a single person or team or thing won a category with 50% or more. This was the sort of biggest margin of victory and the highest proportion of the votes attributed to one person at 45%. The winner of the Rugby on 2 on 6 Breakout Player of the Year is Grey College's Lamlam Gedesi.
Expected Magic Man at fullback. Whenever you have a grade 11 player that can sort of go toe-to-toe with Zikatelo Siyaya, then you must know there's something special about him. Siyaya probably has a slightly more rounded skill set than Lamlam Gedesi. He's definitely a better kicker of the rugby ball than Lamlam Gedesi, but my word, the excitement factor whenever Lamlam Gedesi gets his hands on the ball is absolutely phenomenal. He did things in a Grey College and Free State jumper this year that not a lot of players has ever done. I think the most underrated part of Lamlam Gedesi's game is his positional play. I think it's top-notch. He takes the ball out of the air better than most schoolboy fullbacks.
You interviewed him earlier this year and asked him about that when he takes the ball and sees the space, what his processing is and how he thinks about it.
It's the most it was the most refreshing and honest answer. I remember him telling me, "Sir, I try to look where the props are." And I said, "Well, if one of these props hit you, you might be in trouble." And his answer was very modest, and he said, "But chances are they won't.
Yeah.
I'll get past them." So I think don't underestimate how good his positional play is. Don't underestimate how well he takes the ball out of the air. Yes, what happens after that is the excitement factor. But you've got to do the basics first. And he's very good. And yeah, I don't think I expected that margin that he got in the end. But I do think he's also a little superstar. He's well followed on TikTok. He's got the youth really, really behind him, and a comfortable win for him in the end.
And I think depending on how next year's season goes, he could definitely be right up there as a name for our Thirsty Machine of the Year.
I think so, Alex. Just a reminder to all of these grade 11 players. We've seen it before. You've got this massive breakout here as a grade 11, and then in grade 12 almost go down a notch. So that'll be the challenge to these grade 11s.
To maintain what you've got a great base that you've set up, but you need to keep it going.
Yeah, and like any sportsman, you continually want improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about keeping the base. You've set the base. So in the back of their minds, hopefully in this off-season, is how do I go from this base and go higher?
You're already the best of the best in grade 11. And there are going to be some more grade 11s coming through next year. You're going to be
exactly.
fighting for it as well.
And they're going to be chasing you.
Yeah.
So your Cobus de Villiers, those sort of characters, Tian Basson, I expect to have a massive year next year. But all of them, how do you keep that form and how do you keep that base and improve on it?
Well, after thousands of votes, our Rugby on 216 Breakout Player of the Year is Lamla Mgedezi. The only award we have left is the Thirsty Machine of the Year. But we're going to take a quick break before we talk about that. And since we are at Thirsty, their wonderful facility here in Tilburg, we have some of their hydration crews standing by as we take a quick water break and you take a break as well. We'll see you in a bit.
This is life.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
He almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Some things you don't choose. They choose you. A name, a history, a legacy that came long before you and will last long after you're gone. It's not just about the game. It's the moments that shape you. The early mornings, the long bus rides, the chants that never fade. The friendships, the rivalries, the feeling of being part of something bigger. It's a belonging. Something you carry with you wherever you go. Because once you're a part of it, you always will be.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. We've had a quick water break here thanks to the hydration team from Thirsty. We're sitting at Thirsty's fantastically located plant in Tilburg. We can hear there's a community football match across the road. We can literally hear a goal's just been scored.
Like I'm sitting on a very good angle.
You've just been watching the match the whole time.
I could sort of see the goal as well, and it was a long-range effort. So, but the amount of noise coming from there, this setting is just so special. And hopefully, when we've done recording, they'll have a 10 or a 15 minutes left in that second half.
Well, Thirsty has not just been generous in giving us this venue to shoot our awards results today. They've also been giving, say, merch prizes for all our winners today. And so lastly, the last thing we have to do is the Thirsty Machine of the Year. So we went back, we looked at our Thirsty Machines of the Weeks, and we put together a short list, which I'll get to in a second. But whomever wins today from the public vote will get the signed Eben Etzebeth biography, a Thirsty towel, Thirsty cap, pair of the Thirsty socks. I wear them every single show, so in case you haven't noticed, these are Thirsty socks. Sput also wears them quite often. A 6-pack of Thirsty Sport, and you'll get a rugby ball signed by Eben Etzebeth as well. So that is what the Thirsty Machine of the Year has to look forward to.
I've still got one observation. It's amazing that the Thirsty Machine of the Year is going to get a ball and a book signed by Eben, but he might be playing against him next year. So that's just something to think about. Eben might be giving away secrets there. So
if they're not playing for the
mind.
Sharks, they're going to be playing against him potentially. Let's go over the nominations then for the Thirsty Machine of the Year. Arya Meyer, Grey College. Ethan Adams, Grey College. Junaid Stewart, Garsfontein. Marcus Miller, Paul Gim. Tylo Hess, Durbanville. This also went to a public vote, but just before we reveal who the winner is, we caught up with some of those guys during the year for various interviews. So we're going to have a look back on a couple of those very quickly, and then we'll announce the winner.
Hoe het rugby jou lewe verander? En ek wil meer praat oor sedert jy hoërskool toe gaan het, Karedo natuurlik jou fondasies lê daar. Maar hoe het jou lewe verander vandat jy hoërskool toe gaan het by Grey College?
Meneer, ek het my lewe verander het by Grey, meneer. Ek het meer soos experience gekry, meneer, in rugby, meneer. Beter rugby begin speel. Die coaches het my baie goed geleer daar by Grey, meneer. Was 'n voorreg nou om first team te speel, meneer. Nie almal kan dit sê nie, meneer. En ja, meneer, dis rugby. My lewe verander, ja, meneer.
Kyk, die mense by die huis mag nou maar weet, ek en jy ken mekaar nou al 'n rukkie, so ja. Ek mag ook vir hulle sê, jy was maar regte, amper wil ek sê, stout gat op 'n stadion, né?
Ja, ek was.
Jy was maar 'n man wat die grense baie keer so 'n bietjie getoets het, en sou jy sê, rugby het ook vir jou geleer van dissipline en miskien om op die ou ene van die dag 'n beter mens te kan word?
Ja, meneer, dit het nog baie, meneer, want ek was baie hardkoppig en vir dinge my way doen, meneer, en rugby het my net geleer, iemand moet altyd humble bly, op jou voete moet altyd op die aarde bly, en jy moet net nederig, en ja, meneer.
Marcus, ons praat baie oor tradisies, ons praat oor daai goed. Vat ons deur die voorbereiding vir 'n seisoen by Parel Gymnasium. Julle is sekerlik een van die fikste spanne in Suid-Afrika. Hier staan julle 20 minute na 'n harde wedstryd en dit lyk nie of julle gespeel het.
Ja. Ons begin al ons program begin gewoonlik in Oktober al. Dis wanneer die voorseisoen begin en eintlik interskole eindig mos Augustus. So nou het jy 2 maande met sevens nog intussenin. So dis maar rugby eintlik al die pad deur die jaar. Dan in Oktober begin ons stadig maar seker. Ons bou op oggendsessies, seker so. Ons probeer 5 veldsessies 'n week inoefen, 4 gym sessies elke week na week, oefenkampe op naweke en dan bou ons net oor die vakansie. Ons hou mekaar verantwoordelik. Ons stuur video's in ons oefen en dan kom ons terug Januarie en dan begin ons meer in kleiner groepe oefen, spanverband en dan probeer ons net soveel as moontlik reps in kry eintlik om ons prosesse reg uit te voer. Maar dis harde werk oom. Dit is baie tyd.
Ek wil net weet wanneer doen julle ou skoolwerk? Dis wat ek wil weet. Want julle oefen in die oggend en julle oefen in die middag. Mikael, wanneer doen jy huiswerk?
Meneer die Almoed sê altyd, jou breek van die studie af is maar die rugby. So as jy van rugby af is, moet jy maar by die boeke gevat. Ek weet meeste van ons ouens kry swaar daar, ek ook. Maar ek probeer my bes.
Okay. Jy het nou Helmut Leeman se naam genoem. Coach Pieter, Coach Helmut, Coach Louis, almal wat betrokke is daar by julle. Die skool of Paul Viljoen, ons sien hom oral saam met julle. Is wonderlike ouens, né? Nee?
Ja oom, ons is ongelooflik dankbaar vir die mense rondom ons. Ons leer so baie uit hulle uit en hulle is net wonderlike mense. Ek vat meneer Viljoen wat by elke liewe toernooi is, by al die spanne. Dit is net dis motivering om hom te sien langs die veld en net coaches wat al legendes is van rugby. Mens leer net elke keer iets nuuts by hulle en hulle is verskriklik slim. Hulle is hard op ons, maar dis wat ons nodig het hoor. Ons leer baie.
Quentin, Mikael, as 'n ou praat oor rugby en val op julle ouderdom en miskien 'n jaar of 2, 3 gelede, wie is jou groot rugbyheld? Wie inspireer jou en soos wie wil jy graag eendag wees?
Waarom soos dat ek is All Black fan, so
jy mag nie dit sê nie.
Ja, maar soos Ernst Smit vir my is 'n groot rolmodel vir my. Ek kyk baie op na hom en ja, hy is my rugbyheld.
Ja, ek moet sê 2 ouens wat ek baie na opkyk is maar Kwagga Smith en baie mense ek speel baie soos hy, maar op defense Pieter Steff de Tooy. Dis inspirerend om hom te sien by die World Cup final, al die tackles. Dis net amazing.
Iets waaroor ek baie keer wonder en ek julle ouens moet nou op 'n bus klim, so ek gaan nie veel langer besig hou nie. Vat my gou in daai kleedkamer in. 5 minute voor afskop verlede Saterdag in Bloemfontein.
Ja,
die ding en hy kon nie skop.
Ja, op my.
Baie kan van my mooi sê.
Ja, vir my was dit net toe die jersey sien. Ek sien die 9 trui. Dis sê dis my droom. Dis waarvoor ek gedroom het van klein tyd af. Ek kon nie die eerste span trui begin van die jaar gedra het nie, maar soos ek opgekom het ek net gegroei en ander groei en dit is vir my 'n baie groot voorreg om saam met hierdie klomp broers op die veld te draf. Dit is vir my baie spesiaal.
Ja nee, die vibe was net dis intens, is lekker. Die ouens weet ons het 'n job. Ons motiveer mekaar. Ons het baie goed voor die tyd Marcus wat altyd 'n motiverende ding of 2 sê en die ouens weet en as ons uitgaan is ons het 'n job om te doen. En ons weet wat, dan voor ons wag.
No, he'll obviously make the noise as well. And he's just gotten himself into the SA school side. So
you can do what he wants.
Oh yeah, maybe just stick your face in here so people know, Mayo.
Come back.
Yeah, just come back and just stand here behind Alex. You should be taller than him.
Hang on. He stands taller here as Aya comes in. Aya, listen, please don't feel bad when I pick against the Free State. Please, it's not personal. I pick against you, so you know that.
No, sir.
Okay, he's the one. We'll put
How do you feel knowing that
from Grey College didn't pick you to beat was it the Lions put you?
That was the Bulls.
It was the Bulls, eh?
It was the Bulls, but I know how to fire them up, Cooks. You know, because then they'll go into the huddle and they'll go. Jy het gehoor hoe spoed het alweer gesê ons gaan verloor, you know?
52-33, so you fought back, and he's even though he's sitting here in the blue. But how was Craven Week for you?
Yes, no. Beginning of the week, I said to Smithy, we were here last year also. I said to him, yes, I'm excited. This is a fun tournament. There's 3 games in 1 week. It's fun and everything. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had a tournament this fun like this year. Not even last year.
Just the town of Middelburg. How did you guys find that, and what did you get up to when you were not playing? I stayed in the same hotel than your mom and dad, so I saw you coming visiting once or twice. But the squad, what did you guys do?
No, when we were in Middelburg, we were skeptic, I'm not going to lie, but no, we were impressed about the school. RTS, Middelburg and Middelburg Hoërskool, no, proper schools, yeah. The amount of effort they put in, the trouble they did with the field and the balls and everything, no, it was proper. And the squad, no, we had a great vibe between each other. Like,
I literally know, sorry, this is the most English guy from Parijs.
I'm really stressing
but you're really doing well, I must
really
say.
Stressing you.
We grabbed you, but I hear you've got a meeting to get to
yes,
in 3 minutes,
yeah,
so we'll let you go to that. Well done.
Thank you, yeah.
Well, those are some of the nominees for the Thirsty Machine of the Year who we managed to catch up with during the year. Sput?
Just important, yeah. I think everybody must remember that you had to have been selected as a Machine of the Week.
Yes.
To be nominated for Machine of the Year. And we nominated Machines of the Week or gave Machines of the Week for various reasons.
Yeah.
You know, and Tyler Hess for that magical moment at the Sevens where he was absolutely phenomenal at the Mario Skuman tournament. Also got nominated, Ethan Adams for his Craven week that he had for Free State, Aya Meyer, and then obviously Marcus Miller, who could have been Machine of the Week numerous occasions.
Absolutely. So, let's then remind you quickly again, the nominees, Aya Meyer Grey College, Ethan Adams Grey College, Junaid Stewart Gaasfontein, Marcus Miller Paul Gim, Tyler Hess Durbanville. It went to the public, and after thousands of votes, our Rugby on 216 Thirsty Machine of the Year is Marcus Miller.
What a surprise. I didn't see that coming, Like I said earlier.
He takes 2 awards today, and as captain of Paul Gim, I guess that's 3 awards.
Yeah, as I said earlier, and it's his crowning moment, and well deserved. I say it's his crowning moment. He's had 10 crowning moments this year, and well deserved. He led South Africa during the Under-18 International Series. He's inspirational. We saw the behind the scenes clips he did for SuperSport schools as well during that series. When he was interviewed at the Absa Villa Clava tournament alongside Mikael Boyce and Quentin Potgieter, he was later interviewed by yourself alongside Josh Neal, and the banter they had going, just the all-around personality, the all-around aura, but it's almost it's almost at that point where it goes, enough said. The best of the best in 2025 at schoolboy level in South Africa was Marcus Miller. And you will forever be remembered, not just at Paul Gim, but by schoolboy rugby supporters in general in South Africa. And he'll forever be remembered by me for what he did at schoolboy level. I do believe he'll kick on into professional rugby, and I do think he'll kick on rather smartly. Before the age of 21, I expect to see him playing proper level professional rugby, not just age group.
One of my great memories is not even a match he played. Him and Josh Neal were in an interview earlier this year, and the whole discussion was around who knew who better, because they've been friends since they were, I think, 12 years old. And it came down to the very last question. I think they were tied on 2-2 they'd gotten right. And I asked Marcus, what is Josh's favorite food? And so Josh wrote it down, and then he sort of keeps it concealed. Marcus was really stuck because he was like, it's probably not something silly like steak. It's going to be something different. It's not going to be a dessert. And then he just was like, sushi. And it was right. And with that, he won. And he was very proud of that moment. And then Josh was very quick to remind him that Rondebosch and Gim drew at the Western Cape Schools Day earlier this year. But
you see, the thing is about that guess, I just want to go there. If you're playing somebody that's southern suburb based, you do expect, sushi is a really good guess. I would have probably go Thai green curry, or but sushi is a good guess.
Yeah, like or Chateaubriand or something.
Yeah, like in the Free State or in Paul, you'll go boerewors or steak and chips.
But then do we ask Marcus what his answer would be? And he also said sushi. So there's
that's
something.
Amazing.
There's something to that.
Well, I've got to tell you this story quickly, Alex. Seeing that we're in this lovely setting and relaxed, I've got a 6-year-old at home, and if you ask him what his favorite food is, he also says sushi. Although he's had it like 2 times in his life, but his favorite food in Bloemfontein is sushi.
So it's reached all the way from the east to Bloemfontein. There we go.
Look. It's been in South Africa for about 20 years. It got to Bloemfontein last year, but it's growing.
Well, Marcus Miller, our thirsty machine of the year, off to the Stormers next year. They're doing a really good job at the Stormers of trying to retain the local talent, especially from the Western Cape. What do you think his year with the Stormers looks like next year?
Look, if they stay to suit what sides did in this year's Currie Cup, and if the Currie Cup is played in the same window in 2026 than it was in 2025, I expect to see Marcus Miller in the Currie Cup next year. I really do think it won't take long for the Stormers and Western Province to get him through the ranks. Of course, he'll start in the under-19s and under-21s, to start off with. But I really do believe he'll play some senior rugby in 2026 already. And probably, like I say, if the Currie Cup is there, that'll be his first measuring stick as a senior rugby player. And if he excels there, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Rowan Nell and Dan du Plessis and these guys get put under pressure by a 19-year-old Marcus Miller.
Oh, imagine.
Only time will tell. And the thing that you hope for any junior rugby player now, rather than focusing on the end result, you hope for a good matric exam. If they go and study, you hope that they find what they want to study and hit the ground running with that. But you hope for an injury-free 2026.
Yes.
That's your big hope. Because sometimes the adjustment to senior rugby and those injuries can pop in if you get pushed too quickly, too soon. So, yeah, and it's a very long answer, but probably I expect him to play some senior rugby. My hope for him is to stay injury-free.
Well, there we have it. Our Rugby on 216 Thirsty Machine of the Year is Paul Gim's Marcus Miller. He was also our Rugby on 216 Back of the Year. And Paul Gim were our Team of the Year. We're going to take a quick break on Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. When we come back, Sput, I'm giving you the impossible truth.
Bottles disappeared. Profits vanished.
It wasn't theft.
Our biggest customer became our biggest problem.
I wouldn't call it a problem. He just likes to gooi a few with the boys.
The guys in the first team used to call him Camille.
Because he was so tall.
No, not Camille Per, Camille. He used to drink 200 liters of water in 3 minutes after practice, like a bloody camel.
Is this true, Evan?
Yeah, most of that is true. I am thirsty.
In a world where every second counts, will he make it on time? Out here on the streets, anything can happen when the odds are stacked against you. One man finds the will, the drive, the passion to steer his path to destiny. It's a Swift.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty and from Thirsty's plant in Tilbach. We've gone through our Rugby on 216 awards results. They're all going to get some nice gifts from Thirsty. We've gone through them during the show. Usually at this point of the show, it's Ask the Ref and the Impossible Truth. No Cooks this week. He thought he had better things to do to go to Twickenham and watch the rugby. And I thought we'd combine Ask the Ref and the Impossible Truth in me giving you an impossible truth about refereeing.
And that's very unfair because obviously you've gone to what I think it's 32% or something. So now you change the game again. And you're going to make it tough on me and I'm going to look like an idiot. And it's okay because then you're just taking me out for dinner tonight in Tilbach on the Joy of Media account apparently. So
I reckon you have a chance with this one, but let's see.
And as a commentator, the tough part is, as a commentator, if you get a question about the rules wrong, people start sort of questioning you in the box. So
I would say it's about officialdom. It's not
All right.
necessarily about, I'm
Okay.
going to ask you
But
two laws.
you know me. I'll have a go.
Right. So every time it's just you or just Cooks, I've asked the impossible truth. Neither of you have ever got one right. I'm backing you to do it today. Statement number 1. The Rugby World Cup final that happened last week for the women's game was refereed by Holly Davidson. In so doing that, she became the 3rd person to referee 2 Rugby World Cup finals. Statement number 1, Holly Davidson refereed the Women's Rugby World Cup final last week, and in so doing that, she became the 3rd person to referee 3 Rugby World Cup finals. 2 Rugby World Cup finals.
All right.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
3rd person to referee
Yes.
2 Rugby World Cup finals. Fact number 2, in rugby's laws of the game, there are over 500 things that can be penalized. Over 500 individual things that have
Long arm penalty
full
or
penalty,
full
that have
penalty?
a full sanction of a penalty.
Over 500.
Over 500. So I'll just repeat them.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna. No, you don't have to.
I don't
repeat
need
them.
to? Okay.
I'm gonna go through a process of elimination,
Sure.
like you do. I'm gonna take the long route here.
You're going to cut all the penalties.
So, how many World Cup finals did Andre Watson referee?
You're asking me?
Yeah, there we go.
You're
Because that's
asking
not
me?
part of the question. It's 2. Eh? He did referee 2. No one has ever refereed 2 women's finals, unless Ollie Davidson did now. The other one that's refereed 2 World Cup finals will be Nigel Owens, because Wales never played in the final. 500 just seems excessive. More than 200, yes, maybe. But then Holly Davidson is also a pretty young referee, but she's young to the men's game. But she's already blown URC and Test match rugby, and I would imagine she would have refereed a Women's World Cup final before reaching that pinnacle. Holly Davidson, 2 penalties false.
Well done. Well done. Well done. You got there. You did the long way around, but you got there eventually.
You know, and you know what got me there was not so much the Holly Davidson, but when I affirmed it for myself that she would have had to have done the previous World Cup final or the one, to sort of gain that respect in the men's game.
Yes.
So that she can referee South Africa, Georgia.
Yes.
And URC
and South
matches.
Africa, Italy, South Africa, Portugal.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got there. A couple things to correct. It's not more than 500 penalties. It is more than 400.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I know this because at Craven Week, I was sitting with some of the referees and the question came up. And so I counted. There are over 400.
So 400 or 500 just sounded excessive.
Yeah.
I knew it's a lot because, geez, if you watch how much breaks and play there are these days, you know it's a lot.
There are a lot.
You know?
I would say of those 400, and I can't remember what it was, maybe only 50 of them actually get blown kind of regularly, because it's every single line. So it could be like this law, and then there's like offside, and then A, B, C, D. If you approach the ball, interfere with play, obstruct the play, they all just get counted as offside, but they're actually individual things. So it's
And then I
because
know
of that.
what you're going to correct next. Nigel Owens didn't referee 2
He
World
didn't
Cup
referee
finals.
2 World Cup finals.
He refereed 1.
Yes.
Yes.
And then he got injured in 2019.
Yes.
So he might have done it if he hadn't. It's widely thought that Andre Watson was the first referee to referee 2 World Cup finals, and only referee to referee 2 World Cup finals.
But there was somebody that did
But there was
women's.
somebody who did a men's
And
and
a
a women's. So Andre Watson did
yeah.
2. He did 1999 and 2003.
Yes.
Holly Davidson did the last Women's Rugby World
Yeah,
Cup.
so she's
and she
done
did
2 in
this
a
one.
row.
So she's done 2 in a row, like Andre Watson did. And then,
Can I hazard
do you
a
want
guess?
to have a guess? Yes.
Can it be Jerome Garces?
Nope.
Not.
Nope. By the time he refereed the Men's World Cup
It wa-
final,
yeah, there were
okay.
women's
referees. But back when this happened, there were literally no women's referees yet.
All right.
Because it was all
Okay,
fresh in
so
the game.
wait, let me then just go back. If 99 and 203 was Watson, 95 World Cup becomes Ed Morrison.
He refereed the 1995 Men's Rugby World Cup and the 1998 Women's Rugby
It
World
is
Cup.
Ed Morrison, right?
Yeah, so he was actually the first person to referee 2 World Cup finals.
Amazing.
Then Andre, now Holly. So
Thank
there you go.
Alexander, I learned something.
And you
today.
got it. And you got it right. So,
well, by luck it seems like. But well, I had some solid reasoning on the Harley Davidson part. But yeah,
okay. Well done. That's all we have time for on Rugby on 2 and 6, brought to you
Alex,
by...
does that take your percentage further down from
Go away,
32?
go away.
Not.
There's
Okay.
a dam out there. I'm going to throw you in it, but my percentage stays the same. You've just got a better success rate than Cooks. You've got 1 from 2, so you're at 50%.
Brilliant.
So we do have to thank some people for letting us use this fantastic venue today. Michelle, who we work very closely with at Thirsty, who's been involved the entire year to help basically get the show going.
Yeah, and then obviously Kirsty and Tim as well, that so graciously accepted us here this afternoon. Made sure, the hydration crew was looked after.
And that we were well hydrated.
And they even went and picked up our keys for us at the guest house. No, it's been absolutely amazing. What a privilege to have them on board.
So Thursday have looked after us very well during this year of Rugby on 2 and 6, but we're not done. Next week, Cooks and Spit will be back. We've still got a couple episodes to go to finish off the season. We've got to look ahead to next year. We're going to do some deeper reflecting on the season and do a couple fun things along the way as well. But it is all we have time for on today's episode of Rugby on 2 and 6, brought to you by Thirsty. If you've missed any of the results from the Rugby on 2 and 6 awards, check it out on social media at SuperSport Schools, and Instagram is your best bet. We'll see you next week, but from now, here in Tilbach, bye-bye.